This is the 2017 Honda Civic Sport Touring Hatchback, and the exterior color is Crystal Black Pearl. And I filmed an EXL with Nav about 2-3 months ago when it first came out, but Honda hasn't released the Sport Touring until now. So let's get up close and personal with the Sport Touring Honda Civic Hatchback. First of all, my first impressions of the Civic Hatchback in the Sport Touring trim, I really like how it's pretty much all black. The wheels are a dark color, the grille's black, everything's black. So first of all, you have remote start with the smart key access system. So here's the key fob. It's standard on the EX and above. So you have your lock, unlock, remote start, trunk release, and panic button. So to use remote start, you just double tap the lock button until the car beeps, and then press and hold the start button until it flashes. And it starts right up. And to turn it off, you just press and hold the start button again, and it's off. So since you have remote start, you also have the smart key access system. So just leave the key anywhere on your pocket or your purse or whatever. Walk up to the car with the car being locked. And to unlock the door, just grab the door handle. And then to lock it, just press this little button on top here. And it's locked. So you have a two-tone black and ivory interior. I really like the two-tone color of it, with the black in the middle, the ivory and more black with stitching. You have an 8-way power driver's seat, and here's your door panel with more ivory leather right here, black leather here and on top with some carbon fiber trim. There's the door handle. Here are your mirror controls, door locks, and window controls. Here's just some storage and a little cup holder and a speaker. Excuse the plastic wrap. This car literally just got off the truck yesterday. So let's get inside. So you get a nice solid thud when you close the door. My overall impressions of the interior are pretty high. I really love the new interiors of these Civics from the redesign in 2016. I said that in the last video and I'm saying it again. I just really like it. It's very simple and clean. So let's start the car up. So to use remote start with the smart key access system, just leave the key fob anywhere inside the car. I'm gonna leave it in one of the cup holders. Put your foot on the brake, then press the start button to go. So just like the EXL, you have a 3-spoke leather-wrapped steering wheel, which is electronically assisted. And on the Sport and the Sport Touring with the automatic, you get paddle shifters on both sides. So here's to downshift and to upshift. And on the left side of the steering wheel, you have some dark brushed aluminum trim right here. Here are your channel selection and source buttons and your enter button. Here's your volume button, information button, Bluetooth phone buttons to pick up and hang up, and your voice control button. And Siri Eyes Free also. This car has a really meep horn. Oh, it's a cute little horn. And on the right you have your cruise control settings with your resume, set, cancel, adaptive cruise control, which follows the car in front of you, in theory, your cruise control main to turn it on or off, your lane keep assist button, which basically holds the car in the lane. That's all part of Honda sensing. And another part of Honda sensing is on the left side. So here's your pre-collision mitigation braking button, your lane departure warning button, and your traction control off button. Now on the left side of the steering wheel are your headlight controls and the controls for your right turn your turn signals, headlights, fog lights, and when you put on your right turn signal, you do have lane watch, which is a camera on the passenger side mirror, and this red line shows where your bumper is. This is the line where you would want to pass a car, and when you turn it off, you can either keep it on with that button right there, and you can just keep it on while you're driving, or turn it right off. Now, since this is the Sport Touring, you get red accenting on the gauges and the center screen, so you get a more sporty feel. In my opinion, I think Honda should have made a regular Touring, because from my experience, I would think that some people would like a regular, non-sporty looking Touring model, just like the Touring sedan. But I really like the Sport Touring. I was very excited when I found out that this car was on the market, well, at our dealership. I kept looking at the stock sheet over and over, and it's finally here. Anyway, on the right side, here are your wiper controls, and since this is the Sport Touring model, you do have automatic windshield wipers, so you can just leave it on auto, and they're intermittent. And you have your rear wiper controls back here. And looking at our gauges, you have your engine temperature gauge on the left, your multi-information display in the middle, and your fuel gauge and other warning lights on the right side. Now, to scroll through the information gauge, you press this little I button right here, and here's your fuel economy and range and all that information. Your boost gauge. Now this car does have the 1.5 liter turbo with 180 horsepower and the center exhaust. We'll hear how it sounds later. Here's your compass and navigation, oil life and maintenance minder, audio, phone, and the unit conversion from miles per hour to kilometers. I really like what Honda did with the gauges on this car. It really looks clean, and it looks a lot more upscale than it really is. You wouldn't think that you're in a Civic looking at a digital display that big. So that's one plus. So you have some more fake carbon fiber right here, more dark brushed aluminum trim all throughout the dash. The dashboard right on top of the instrument panel, this is a plastic right here, but everything else is a soft touch material. Now that feels pretty nice. You have some more carbon fiber here and more dark brushed aluminum trim. This is some soft touch plastic with fake stitching. And looking at the glove box, it's not damped, surprisingly, but you do have good storage. Another thing about the Sport and the Sport Touring is that you have metal pedals instead of the regular pedals. You know, they're more sporty and grippy. So looking at the center, you have your four-way flashers button. And since this is the Sport Touring, this is actually standard on EX models and above, you have an 8-inch touchscreen display, which looks very nice in my opinion. And in the next refresh for the Civics, the sedan, coupe, and hatchback, we will be getting the volume button back, because that was brought back in the new Odyssey and the new CRV. If you haven't checked out the CRV video, if you're interested in it, just go check it out right now. So looking at navigation, it is Garmin based, so you have your where to and view map buttons. This is your main navigation screen. You can roll around and zoom out and zoom in and just go back to your regular screen. These are all the places to set your destination, your go home address. This is to go to the nearest Honda dealership, and you can search up all different categories. Your phone, my phone isn't paired right now, but you can call, pick up calls, make calls, look at your contacts, get text messages, all that stuff. You also have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Looking at settings, that's all of your basic settings, like your vehicle information, clock, system settings. Smartphone connection, that's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Audio. You do have a pretty nice audio system in the Civic hatchback. You also have Sirius XM. Looking at info, that just basically shows your fuel economy and vehicle information. It basically says what it does. Honda Link and your app list. I find it pretty interesting that you have a calculator in the car. And here's your audio button, home button, your volume rocker, your menu and back button. And up top here is to dim and shut off the display. Now down here you have dual zone automatic climate control. So if you hit climate, you can scroll through the different fan speeds or just completely shut it off. Here's your AC on and off button, your different modes, the temperature for the driver's side since it is dual zone and the passenger side. If you hit sync, both sides are the same temperature. It shows up top here. Turn that off. I can have my own and the passenger can have their own. Here's your on-off button, recirculation button, front and rear defrost. Your rear defrost turns on your heated side view mirrors. Here are your heated seat controls. They're tri-zone. They heat up pretty quickly. Here's just a place that you could put your phone and a pass-through for wires or whatever. You have USB ports down here and a power outlet and an HDMI port. This is where you would plug in your phone for Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Now down here, all Civic Sport Tourings have a CVT, so there's no manual. The manual is only on the Sport and the LX, which is sort of a bummer. But when you put the car into reverse, you have a multi-angle backup camera. So here's your wide view, normal view, and top-down view. And you do have a sport mode, so you could shift. It simulates fake shifts in sport mode. So if you floor it, you'd actually feel it and hear it making shift point noises. Your brake hold button, that basically holds the brakes for you. If you're at a long red light, you just press it and you can let go of the brake until you touch the gas and it automatically turns off. Here's your parking brake button, which is electronic, and your econ button, which maximizes fuel economy. Now down here, you have two cup holders and another sliding tray. This all slides and it can be removed. There's another big cup holder down there so you could put a big gulp or whatever. There's a 1 amp USB port down there. And you do have a sliding center armrest. And you can lift this up and you get more access to more storage. Overall, my impressions of the seat are very nice. They're actually very comfortable. It's a nice perforated leather, so they don't get too hot or too cold in the wintertime or the summertime. That's pretty nice. Now looking at the door panel, you have that ivory leather. I really love this color, and I really love the two-tone leather. The bright and the dark colors together. I just like that personally, but to each their own. Here's your auto-dimming rear view mirror, and your light controls, your sunroof controls, your more light controls, and your microphone for your Bluetooth. You have visors with lights and mirrors. And the sunroof is one touch. I'm not going to open it because it's a little bit chilly outside. Let's get in the back seat of the Civic hatchback. So here's your door panel with more of that ivory leather and stitching. And this is black plastic. You have a leather padded armrest right here. It's a little bit on the hard side, but that's okay. Here are your window controls and a small storage cubby. And your rear speakers. The rear seats aren't perforated leather, they're just regular leather. But pretty soft. And still that two-tone color, which I really like. So the rear seat is pretty much all the way back. I'm about 5'7", 5'8", and I have about, I'd say, an inch of legroom. And I can stuff my feet under the seat pretty comfortably. Now, one amazing thing, well, I don't know if it's amazing to some people, but just like the Civic sedan, the Civic hatchback in the sport touring trim level, you have heated rear seats, which are dual stage for the two outboard seats. Not the middle seat, but that's okay. That's still a very nice feature for a car that's less than 30 grand. So, like I said before, the seats are actually pretty comfortable. The middle seat isn't that high, but I'm pretty surprised that the transmission tunnel is pretty high up from the ground. So the middle passenger might have a little bit of trouble, but it's pretty narrow, so it's not that bad. You do have a folding center armrest, which is leather padded and very soft, very soft. You have two cup holders, one big one and one small one down there. Another view of the door panel with the ivory black and everything like that. Here are some more door lights and switches controls up there. So let's check out the trunk of the Civic hatchback. So the trunk isn't power assisted, but you know, it's okay. You can just lift it up with that little membrane. Now behind the second row seats, you get 26 cubic feet of volume, and they do fold with these handles. They fold almost flat. Well, pretty flat. Under this flap right here, you have your spare tire, which is a donut, and more tools. Your jack and stuff is in here. And you do have a sun visor and lights. Here's your subwoofer. So let's check out under the hood of the Civic hatchback. So when you close the door and the key fob is on you, the car is going to beep at you, just warning you that the key fob isn't detected. The hood latch is right above the Honda logo. You just pull it. Wow, that's a heavy hood. Shit. So under the hood, you have a 1.5 liter 16 valve dual overhead cam inline 4-cylinder, which is direct injected and turbocharged. And you make 180 horsepower and 177 pound-feet of torque on the Sport and Sport Touring. You get a few more horsepower from that center-mounted exhaust. We'll listen to how it sounds later in the video. Now, one thing that I've noticed about most direct injected motors, especially some Hondas, is that they're actually a little bit clattery and loud. But if you're worried about that and you bought a new Honda with the 1.5 turbo, you shouldn't worry about that because it's perfectly fine. So you should be expecting 30 miles per gallon in the city, 36 on the highway, with a combined rating of 32 miles per gallon. I think that's pretty good. And you get good power. So let's see how the Civic sounds. You do have a rev limiter, so it limits how fast the car is revving. Let's put it in neutral to see what happens. So let's check out the exterior. So let's turn on the headlights, fog lights, and hazards. So first of all, looking at the mirrors, they are heated and power adjustable, and you have LED turn signal indicators mounted on them. Look pretty sharp. Now down here on the Sport and the Sport Touring, you have 18-inch alloy wheels, and you have 4-wheel disc brakes, and 4-wheel independent front and rear suspension. I think they look pretty nice compared to the other wheels. Now you do get these US spec cornering lights. I personally think the white clear lights look better, but you can always change that aftermarket if you're crazy about that. So on the Sport Touring only and Touring sedan Civics, you have full LED headlights with LED daytime running lights, LED low beams and high beams. They are automatic high beams too, so the high beams are not on right now, but you can switch them on. And you have LED turn signals. I really like how these headlights look, especially on this Civic hatchback, with it being all black. Now you do have halogen fog lights. I really like how the front end looks on the Civic hatchback, especially this one since it's all black, because it really looks stealthy at night, and the headlights really make it look premium. Now only on the Civic hatchback, the front grille is blacked out. On regular sedans, that whole part right here would be chrome. I think it looks better on the hatchback personally. Now, like I said before, your windshield wipers are automatic. You can just switch them down. Now on the back, one of my other favorite pieces of the Civic hatchback are the taillights. So you have halogen brake lights, LED light piping in the taillights, and halogen reverse and turn signals. And here you have your center brake light. I really like how the rear end of the Civic hatchback looks too. I sort of see why some people say it looks like a mini cross tour, but I sort of like it. Here's your rear spoiler and rear wiper, and you have another little spoiler up top, and your shark fin antenna. Your reverse camera and your trunk release is up there. And this is a Sport Touring. Now here is the center exhaust. That's only on the Sport and Sport Touring. So the trim levels of the Civic hatchback start at the LX, which has the 174 horsepower 4-cylinder, which is the same 1.5, which is $19,700. The Sport, which is $21,300. The EX, which is $22,800. At the EX trim, you get a sunroof, a 7-inch display, Honda lane watch, and the keyless entry with the smart key. Then you get the EXL with navigation, which is $25,300. I filmed a review of that one before. And then there's the Sport Touring, like the one that I have with me right now. Now with the Sport Touring, you get Honda Sensing as standard, a 540 watt premium audio system standard, the center dual exhaust, which is standard, and the paddle shifters. You get a lot more features on the Sport Touring too. So thank you all for getting up close and personal with the 2017 Honda Civic Sport Touring hatchback with me today. If you have any questions about the Civic hatchback, or just anything in general, just leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible, well, as quick as I can. And check out my other videos, hit the like button, subscribe if you like. Special shout out to Sport Honda, and I'll see you in the next video.